let's go ahead and dive right into hour number 3, and we'll start with the Saints and Bears injury report. Noon Central kickoff up in Chicago. And man, it's not often in the last really 2 years and some change that you've been able to look at an injury report before a Sunday game and say the Saints are in better shape than their opponent. Like, it's been a while. But this is one of those times. This is really looking up for the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, the big news, Alvin Kamara, who was a DNP on Wednesday with the ankle, returned to practice on Thursday in a limited capacity. But as we always say, if you're not practicing by Thursday, it's going to make it really hard for you to be out there in some capacity Friday, which is going to make it really hard for you to be out there Sunday when the game is kicked off. So Kamara being back at practice, that's huge. For that reason, and also, he's your best offensive weapon. Like, that's full stop, right? Alvin Kamara is the Saints' best offensive weapon they have right now, even in his early 30s. He's been very, very productive. So to have him back, that's massive for your chances going up to Chicago. You're trying to get your second win of the season. Chris Olave, he's been dealing with the hip. He was limited on Wednesday, upgraded to a full participant here on Thursday. Olave's had his problems, for sure, with drops, getting open, contested catches, all of it. But that is still a player, more often than not, you want out there. Is he a number one wide receiver? I don't think so, but he's certainly a guy that can contribute. To see him go from limited to full, that's huge. Alontae Taylor went as well. He has a knee, limited to full participant here on Thursday. That's huge because I don't think many people would argue with this. Alontae Taylor's your best defensive back. Kool-Aid McKinstry's had his struggles. You like what you've seen from Quincy Riley and Jonas Sanker so much. Obviously, you have a veteran in Justin Reed at the back end, but Alontae Taylor really is, in terms of guys who are back for another year, the most proven guy in that secondary for the New Orleans Saints. Again, with all due respect, Justin Reed is the veteran. This is his first year in New Orleans, so the guy's returning. And I think Alontae Taylor's been your best defensive back so far this season. So having him to go up against Caleb Williams, who looks like he's really starting to figure things out a little bit at the NFL level, and obviously the different places you can move Alontae Taylor around on your defense, that's huge. Isaac Yiadom's the interesting one. He went from a DNP dealing with that hamstring to a limited participant. But Yiadom has that deal with the contract where it could impact the Saints draft compensation and whatnot if he reaches a total number of snaps in the season. So we'll see if Isaac Yiadom, he might not have an injury designation anymore, but we'll see if the Saints put him out there on the field come Sunday. And then Davon Godchaux, he's the only DNP for the Saints on Thursday, and that's for a veteran rest day. Y'all, it is trending towards everyone on this injury report for the Saints. Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Alontae Taylor, Davon Godchaux, Isaac Yiadom, to be available on Sunday at Soldier Field. And that is such a welcome sign for this franchise, given the injury history that they have had the last 2.5 years and maybe some change involved in there. They've just been a friggin' mash unit for the majority of that time. At every position. We know about the soft tissue epidemic they had. This is, you know, and the Saints might not win the game on Sunday. They probably won't. They're about a 4.5-point underdog. But if you're looking for reasons of optimism, healthy team is one of those. The other notable deal here is John Ridgeway. Remember, Ridgeway had his 21-day practice window opened a couple weeks ago along with Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill. He has not made his return yet, but he has been a full participant with that shoulder throughout practice week so far here. So keep that in mind, too. That's just more depth there on your defensive line, potentially with a guy like John Ridgeway possibly making his return this week as well. For the Chicago Bears, not as positive as for the New Orleans Saints. Grady Jarrett, of course, veteran defensive lineman, veteran edge rusher, is a DNP for the second consecutive day. Caveat with the Bears, they held a walkthrough on Wednesday, right, because of Monday Night Football, so that was just an estimated injury report, but Jarrett would not have practiced if they had it on Wednesday, and he did not practice on Thursday. Knee injury. He has not been super productive. 32 years old. He's getting towards the end of his career, but he was very disrupted in his time with Atlanta. But just 4 tackles on the season for Grady Jarrett, so maybe not a huge loss potentially for the Bears there, but definitely one to keep an eye on. Noah Sewell for the second consecutive day, DNP for the Chicago Bears. He's dealing with a concussion, so he's in the protocol. That is of great consequence. Noah Sewell is their second leading tackler behind Tremaine Edmonds. Those two as a linebacking core have formed quite the tandem for Dennis Allen's defense up there in Chicago. So we'll continue to monitor that with Sewell in the concussion protocol and things of that nature. That can go either way. But again, this is Thursday and he's not out on the practice field and on a short week. That concussion suffered in the game on Monday night, obviously against the Commanders. So that's one to really keep an eye on, and that would be a pretty significant loss for the Bears. And then if you're Cairo Santos, their kicker, DNP as well. It comes down to a kick. Yeah. What do you think there potentially? He's dealing with a right thigh. He's got a right thigh, Cairo Santos. Those take care of your DNPs. The good news for the Chicago Bears is wide receiver DJ Moore dealing with a hip and a groin. Would have been a DNP on Wednesday had they held a traditional practice. He returned today limited. That's massive. That's a big weapon, obviously, for Caleb Williams. Rome Odunze has really carried the receiving game for Chicago so far, but DJ Moore, I've almost, that's their second leading receiver in terms of yards, third in terms of receptions, but in terms of yards, second leading receiver, and he's 60, 70 yards ahead of the guy in the number 3 position. So that's a bit of a break for Chicago and an otherwise kind of grim injury report. The other two deals here, they had a third linebacker, Amin. This is going to go horribly. Amin Ogbongbinga. Best I could do. Sorry, young man. That's my fault there. Limited with a knee. Would have been a full participant or would have been at practice Wednesday, now limited. And then DeAndre Swift at running back, a groin, pops up on the injury report for Chicago this week as well, and that is the Chicago Bears' leading rusher. So, I mean, really the good news, Jonah Jackson returned, full participant, one of their offensive linemen, and DJ Moore limited. But, I mean, you look at Noah Sewell dealing with a concussion. You look at DeAndre Swift limited now with a knee. That's rough for the Chicago Bears. Right now. So, hadn't been often we've been able to say it, but we can this week. The Saints, injury-wise, are in a better position here on Thursday than their opponent. How much will that impact the game on Sunday? We'll wait and see. They certainly have their work cut out for them, but I'll just say it again. If you're looking for reasons for optimism, the Saints being healthy, after what you've seen the last 2 years and some change, that's a damn reason for optimism if I've ever seen one. So maybe all the work they did in the training camp portion of the season paid off there with Kellen Moore and the rest days. We'll see, but that's a good sign, at least for the Saints. They'll kick it off against the Bears, noon Central, up there in Chicago.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.